Welcome back to our PTE preparation series. Today we are diving deep into the reading, multiple choice, single answer task. This question type requires a sharp eye for detail and the ability to distinguish between the author's primary argument and supporting viewpoints. We'll focus on how to navigate complex academic texts by identifying key logical shifts and the core message hidden within the debate. If you found this breakdown helpful, make sure to subscribe to my PTE Pro for more expert strategies. Let's keep working together to reach your target score. The success of modern science is often attributed to its ability to provide an increasingly accurate map of the objective world. The author introduces the success of modern science by framing it as the development of an increasingly accurate map of our objective world. This metaphor suggests that scientific progress is defined by how precisely our theories represent a reality that exists independently of human observation. Scientific realism posits that our best theories are true, or approximately true, descriptions of mind-independent reality. The concept of scientific realism is defined here as the belief that scientific theories offer true, or approximately true, accounts. By describing this as a mind-independent reality, the text emphasizes the realist view that the universe has a fixed nature regardless of whether humans are there to perceive it. However, proponents of anti-realism, such as instrumentalists, argue that theories are merely useful tools for predicting observations. The transition, however, introduces the opposing view held by proponents of anti-realism who reject the idea of literal truth in favor of useful tools. For these instrumentalists, the value of a theory lies solely in its capacity for predicting observations rather than describing the actual nature of the world. They point to the history of science, where once successful theories like phlogiston or the luminiferous ether were ultimately discarded. To support their skepticism, anti-realists highlight once successful theories from the history of science that did not stand the test of time. Examples like phlogiston or luminiferous ether serve as evidence of ideas that were ultimately discarded despite being accepted by scientists in the past. This pessimistic induction suggests that our current theories might also be proven false despite their predictive success. The term pessimistic induction refers to the logical leap that because past theories failed, current theories are likely to be proven false as well. This argument challenges the reliability of science by suggesting that predictive success is not a guarantee of underlying truth. Realists counter this by arguing that the predictive power of science would be a miracle if the theories were not fundamentally true. Realists respond to skeptics by claiming that the predictive power of science is too consistent to be accidental. They argue it would be a miracle if theories work so well without being fundamentally true, suggesting that success implies a connection to reality. They suggest that while specific models may change, structural components of these theories often persist through paradigm shifts. The author notes that even when specific models may change, realists believe certain structural components remain intact. This continuity allows scientific knowledge to persist through paradigm shifts, suggesting that science builds upon a stable foundation rather than starting over completely. Ultimately, the debate highlights the philosophical tension between the practical utility of science and its claims to truth. The word ultimately signals a summary of the core conflict, which is a philosophical tension. This tension exists between the practical utility of scientific models as tools and the claims to truth that realists use to justify the validity of those models. While we may never have direct access to reality, the pursuit of a true description remains the driving force behind scientific inquiry. In the final sentence, the author acknowledges that direct access to reality might be impossible. However, the pursuit of a true description is identified as the essential driving force that continues to motivate scientific inquiry despite philosophical doubts. Which statement best reflects the author's view on the debate between scientific realism and anti-realism? The question asks for the author's specific perspective on the debate presented. To find the answer, we must look for the concluding synthesis where the author balances scientific realism against anti-realism and determines what motivates the field as a whole. Scientific theories should be viewed solely as predictive instruments because historical evidence proves they are consistently incorrect. This perspective aligns too closely with the anti-realist view of useful tools and ignores the author's final emphasis on truth. While the text mentions theories were ultimately discarded, it does not claim they are consistently incorrect, nor does the author advocate for viewing them solely as predictive instruments. Incorrect. Realism is the only valid perspective because it is the only theory that provides a logical explanation for the success of scientific predictions. The assertion that realism is the only valid perspective is too extreme and fails to acknowledge the philosophical tension the author highlights. Although realists argue that success without truth would be a miracle, the author presents this as one side of a balanced debate rather than an absolute fact. Incorrect. The debate has become irrelevant in the modern era because structural paradigm shifts have effectively proven both sides wrong. There is no evidence in the text to suggest the debate has become irrelevant. On the contrary, the author states that the pursuit of a true description remains the driving force of science, and while paradigm shifts occur, they do not prove both sides wrong but rather complicate the discussion. Incorrect. The persistent search for a true description of reality is necessary, even if there is a conflict between science's utility and its claim to truth. This statement accurately captures the author's concluding thought that the pursuit of a true description remains essential. It acknowledges the philosophical tension between practical utility and claims to truth, while maintaining that this search for reality is the fundamental driving force behind all scientific work. Correct. In multiple-choice, single-answer questions, the key is to look for the author's final synthesis or concluding remarks. Pay close attention to transition words like ultimately or however to see how the author balances different perspectives. Always verify that your chosen answer covers the main scope of the text rather than just one supporting detail.